guest here today, old buddy Pat from Back and Willie P joining us. We're going to talk little news and notes, what happened this week since Hagen and I last jumped on. And then Pat's bringing us a brand new playoff format, like a hypothetical playoff format. And we're going to listen and chime in and see, what flaws are there and what positives are there. But I'm super excited to do it. Hagen, I'm assuming you had a good weekend.
Yeah, I did. I just been watching some golf, some UFC, trying to watch something now that baseball. Just fill the time until baseball's ready. But it's always exciting when your team plays this month. Only a couple weeks till we got baseball going on.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's like I feel like spring's coming, but at the same time, like seeing pitchers and catchers are reporting in like 2 weeks. It's like what? Like we're already through the off season. Like it feels like the Dodgers just won their second World Series. Like the pain of being a non-Dodgers fan is still there very much, and because they had a fantastic, probably the best off season out of any team. So that being said, I want to talk about this playoff format and dive into it, but we got some news and notes we got to cover, some big signings, and then we'll let Pat do his thing. So, start off earlier today, Eugenio Suarez landed a 1 year, $15 million deal with the Reds. Hagen, I'll ask you quickly because there's already some debate in the text. Do you think he was underpaid, or do you think this was just right based off his age and what he did in the second half last year?
I actually kind of thought of him for a Mets target earlier on in the offseason to get some power, and I had him around 1 to 2 years with the player option on the second year there, and I had him around like $20 million AAV. So I thought he got underpaid here. Obviously, I think maybe obviously their teams weren't really in his market there much. The Pirates and the Reds were the last two in on him. The Pirates were around that same range. They obviously didn't go above that. I think if you're the Pirates, that you should have just thrown him an extra $3-4 million and got the guy to help your team. Who your team is not that great, and you need the offense. So I thought he was underpaid.
Are you shocked about that it was Cincinnati?
Not too much, honestly. I wouldn't say I pegged them to be like the number one team that he would go to there, but I think just a fit too. Obviously played there before, I believe back in like 2019, had 49 home runs there 1 year. And obviously he's a guy chasing 400 home runs. So it's only 75 away from that.
Yeah. Uh, I was kind of shocked it was Cincinnati at the same time. Like you heard rumors of Schwarber earlier this year, like going to Cincy, and it was clear that they wanted a power bat, and they just ended up with Suarez instead of Schwarber on a much less lucrative contract. So good for them. I think this is a steal for Cincinnati, and I like it, especially the home ballpark being Great American. Uh, it's a very hitter friendly park, so we'll see what Eugenio Suarez is able to do in Cincinnati this year. Jacob Wilson, he was second in voting in the American League Rookie of the Year last year. Signs a 7 year, $70 million extension with an 8 year club option for the 2033 season. That's with the Athletics. So he lost the Rookie of the Year voting famously to his teammate, Nick Kurtz, who had a massive year. Wilson batted 311 with 13 home runs and a 799 OPS last year. Um, Fun fact: I had his card out of 75. I traded that and 150 bucks cash for a Mickey Mantle signed baseball. So if Jacob Wilson doesn't become Mickey Mantle, I win. But um, Hagen, thoughts on Jacob Wilson? Obviously, he's a dog.
Yeah, I like this deal a lot for the A's. Obviously, you're kind of building that core for when they're going into Vegas. You kind of see they have a plan of let's get this team, make a true core for when we get to Vegas. We have a team that's competitive and they're going to be a team that can win right away with those fans out there. So trying to appeal to that, obviously, I like it from the team standpoint too, because obviously, yeah, you're paying the guy $10 million a year now, which you only had to pay him $780,000 this year, whatever the league minimum is. So you're going up there, but on the back end there, you're getting him for 2 extra years that he would have been a free agent wise. So I think it's worth it that way as a team. And the Jacob Wilson side of things, you're getting $70 million guaranteed as a 23-year-old, whatever he is. So that's just great. He's got his money in his pockets now, and even too when he hits free agency, he's only going to be 32 years old. So he's still going to hit him at a pretty decent market. He's like going to be 34 years old, becoming a free agent. So I like it for both sides.
Yeah, I should have done the math. I bet you Pat's a math guy. I could do this real quick. If you do 8% return on $70 million, like if we start in 2033, let's just like if you're looking at this, 8 years in the future, and let's just say he has 50 million in the bank at that point, times 8% over a course of what 30 years. Do you know how much money, like how advantageous this is for Jacob Wilson to get this type of extension at 23 versus like 28, 29 years old? Like the money accrues, it just grows. So good for Jacob Wilson. He's a stud. I love the Athletic spending, especially as they're moving cities, and it shows their commitment to improving the roster here as they grow and try and lure in the new fan base. So, like to see it on both sides. The Giants, they add three-time batting champ Luis Ariz to a 1-year, $12 million deal. A lot of I don't know if you saw the tweets on about what I put out about Luis Ariz and the Yankees. I thought it made sense for the Yankees. Simply put, Austin Wells, he had a solid year, but they could play Rice at catcher more, and they could play Rice at first base half the amount of time, let Arise hit or play DH because we know Giancarlo Stanton is not going to be there for 162 games. Someone's got to fill the DH void. And I like Luis Arise at a career 312 hitter, I think he is, or 317. He's north of 300 as a career hitter. That's all I need him to do is slap singles to the outfield. The Yankees have plenty of power, and I got attacked. I got actually attacked on X. It was the first time I've ever been like attacked like that. I've never been called unintelligent in so many ways and so much in my life, but it was worth it, I guess. Um, well, look at the rest of these deals. Vinny Pasquantino, he got a 2-year contract with the Royals to avoid ARB for 11 million guaranteed, can max out at around 16 million. The White Sox add Austin Hayes to a 1-year deal for 6 million. Minnesota and Colorado strike a deal, small one, but Edouard Julien is the headliner. He's heading to Colorado. He had a nice hit tool that Minnesota was really invested on when he was coming up. Hopefully, Colorado is able to deploy that and get the best out of Edouard Julien. Obviously, Minnesota is done, and they wanted to move on from him. So we'll see that. Colorado also made another deal with the Yankees this week. They send over Angel Chivelli in exchange for a minor league first baseman. It looks like this guy throws gas, but he obviously had a blown up ERA, and that's why the Rockies were willing to move him. The Yankees have been done really well in the bullpen and with the rotation and developing guys recently. I love this for the Yankees. I think this is a sneaky little deal to add someone as a middle inning reliever once they figure him out. And then the Yankees also made headlines this week. Did you either of you two see this? They signed a international free agent that's 13 years old for $7 million.
I didn't even know you could sign 13-year-olds.
It's a weird deal because there's a stipulation about education payment in there as well, but it's insane. And go look at the deal because I don't want to explain it, but essentially, an MLB analyst, Wilbur Sanchez, who according to this article I read, specializes in the Dominican and Latin American prospects, and he called Mejias the best player in the history of the international market. He's 13, so I think there's a little bit of Yankees overhype, as always. It's crazy. $7 million to a 13-year-old Hagen.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. Like he's class of 2030. Like it's. I mean, this is, and that's just the normal class. I guess would be like a free agent. Like I don't. I mean, this is insane. 13 years old. I mean, this dude's he's literally going to be in the Yankees organization for by the time he reaches the
Ever.
big leagues and stuff. Yeah, like most of his life's gonna be spent here.
His name's going to be drowned out if he does well on the prospect, single A, double A. His name is going to be so drowned out compared to Jason Dominguez. Like Jason, we were all over him at 16. This kid's 3 years younger than Jason was when he really started, get garner attention. Just thought that was wild to see, and I don't know how I didn't catch that. That happened a couple days ago, and I just like saw it. I guess I don't pay attention to the international market as much, but this, especially the 13-year-olds, but this was blasphemous. I don't know what else to say about it. Like it's a long
This
I mean,
could be
shot.
a dumb
I wish I
question,
was that good of a
but
baseball. 13 years old.
do you have to be like 18 to play in the MLB, or could he, in theory, play at like 15?
He could in theory play at 15 years old. I mean, you can play at whatever age.
Obviously, it would never happen, but just curious.
Who's like the last young guy to come up? Was it Bryce Harper when he was like 18, 19? Is he the last like earliest debut?
Say Soto was 18 when he came up. He was 18 in the World Series that year. There's been a few guys I think who were 19. I know there's a few.
So, yeah, that's wild. Nick Sandlin, he signed an minor league deal with the Angels. He's a reliever, and he's going to get a spring training invite. Seattle, they had devastating news this week. Right-hander Logan Evans, he was a talented rookie last year. He underwent surgery to repair his torn UCL. Never like to hear that. He's going to miss the entire year. David Robertson, famous closer and relief pitcher, 17 years, 179 career saves, a sub 3 ERA, almost 1,200 strikeouts, and 68 wins. He was a one-time All-Star though with the Yankees back in 2011. Cy Young 11 that year, MVP 22 in voting. Robertson was, I felt like a assassin these last few years. Like we'll sign him to bolster the bullpen. He was that type of guy. So great career from David Robertson. And then finally, the last note before we get into this, Otani announced he is not going to pitch in the World Baseball Classic. I don't think that's really big news. I just wanted to mention it because it's Otani. That being said, I sped through those, but I really wanted to get into this, and we're just over 10 minutes. So that was a little bit over planned, but we'll jump into it. So, Pat, why don't you give yourself a little intro, your team, and then let's jump into the playoffs.
Yeah, hello. I have been on this once before. I don't remember when it was. It was a very long time ago. I think it was even before you were involved, Hagen, when it was just Brett and Dean. But like Brett said, I grew up with Brett. Long lifetime Mets fan, for better or for worse. I land on the optimistic side of the Mets fan coin. I'm not the world is burning. So I go in with hope every year, which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, live in Chicago now, so I don't get to see the Mets as much. But when they roll through here, I watch them play. Yeah, so let's go through this pitch. And it's not just gonna be me talking. I'm making you guys work a little. We're gonna
yeah.
workshop it.
We'll comment it for sure and ask some questions.
Yeah.
All right. So currently, we got 3 division winners in each league, and then you get 3 wild cards. Pat, are we now? The first thing I think is this playoff.
Yeah. Well, how do you want me to go back? You want me to give the pitch first, talk after, like little spark notes?
How about
give
some context?
Give the pitch,
and then we'll
because it's more than just playoffs. I think it's a whole restructure. I think you'll potentially like it. I think there's a lot of holes to be poked. This came up really quick. For context, this was originated after I watched the Rangers and the Diamondbacks play in the World Series in 2023. And it was kind of like, this is bullshit that these 2 teams are here. Pardon my French. Like, they're not the best teams. It's a format that's not designed for the best baseball teams at the end. That theory's kind of been proven wrong the last 2 seasons, so already gives me a bad leg to stand on. That said, that was really the context of where it started from. So, like I said, it's kind of a restructure of all things MLB. So, not all things. So, there's obviously stuff that MLB will never change, right? Like, they want the same number of games roughly because the owners want to make money. And baseball historians would go nuts if you shortened the regular season because, all the records become tarnished. Like, if anything, they're adding more games. We know that. They also, this current structure, Manfred and Co., want to make sure every team's playing each other. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what they're doing. And then the last one is they definitely don't want less teams in the playoffs. They want more. So then it's like, how do you make sure the best teams have the best opportunity to get to the end, but also add more teams? Here's my solution. It comes with a few parts of it. I think it starts with you need to expand for sure. Just you need 32 teams, or at the very least, you need to go back to National League, American League. Like the interleague play needs to be more special because that was, in my opinion, the prime of baseball. Like the Mets started, I think, was it last year that we started against the Astros?
Yes, started in Houston, which was very weird.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? Yeah, we're playing this team once all year. The first in March makes no sense. Yeah, that's number 1. 2, like because they're trying to make everyone play everyone, you got to make like a cleaner, not quite Premier League because rivalry is obviously a big thing. Like they want to sell tickets, so like you'll still weight it by the divisions, but more like consistently you're playing the same amount of games against everyone in the league, and everyone's kind of doing the same deal. More like an NFL type, which is I mean, baseball's getting to that, so it's good, but it's unfair that certain teams have to play other teams a lot. And then the last one, it's really the main focus is making September relevant again. Because in my eyes, September's relevant for like 4 teams. September baseball is the best, but you have the really good teams that have already clinched, the really bad teams who are trying to lose, and then you have like the Mets and Reds trying to win and can't win. So like, you want to keep teams pushing the whole time, and clearly like a lot of teams just give up by September. So that's like the table setters. Diving into it. Like I said, 8 divisions, 4 teams. I don't really care how those are divided. But they've like talked about this already, so we kind of know this is coming. Or it might be 4 divisions of 8. It doesn't really change the idea. So now I'm going to run some numbers. Bear with me here. It's 4 phases. Okay. Phase 1 and 2, I came up with. I don't think would ever actually happen, so I'll go through them at the same time. But phase 1, the first 108 games. So you're in a division of 4. You play everyone in your division, home and away, 6 times, 12 games. So that's what? 36 games in that phase. And then you play everyone also in your league, home and away, for another 6, which I did the math. 108 is the first phase. So you're basically doing your entire league circuit right out the gate. Phase 1. And then after phase 1, you roll right into phase 2, and it's interleague play. And it's like always like 36 games of interleague play every year. It's just like a little pound for pound. Maybe the All-Star game right before that. So then you're kind of building some rivalry into like who's going to win interleague play kind of deal. Could be fun. This is where I struggled with the math of it. Hence why I don't think it would happen. In my dream world, you're playing based on like how you finished in your division. Like if you got first place, you don't have to play the other second, third, and fourth, or the other first place teams in the American League. But that, from like a ticket sales standpoint, would never function. So what I landed on was 36 games total for the second phase. And you play a 3-game series in like a rotating schedule, if you will, similar to the NFL. So like every year you play, like there's one team in each division that you're not playing each year, essentially, for better or for worse. So this is the part that needs to be workshopped, but ostensibly phase 2 is interleague play. So you take those 36 games, take the 108 games, 144 games. That's like the culmination of the regular season, quote unquote. And this is where it gets wonky. So this puts you at what? September, call it like right around Labor Day weekend, 144 games in, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I think the line is drawn. So the top 16 teams are now competing to make the playoffs. Bottom 16 are competing for draft picks because everybody loves that idea. So it changes from 162 format to 165 game. And this phase is 21 games. So, right, but if you're following along, 16 teams are left in the road. We're calling it the road to the playoffs is what I'm referring to it as. So there's 21 games. You have the 8 teams, so you're playing 7 series, 7 3-game series against the other 7 teams who are still left. Whatever your record was going into this is completely wiped out. It doesn't matter. There's 16 teams left. You have 7 3-game series, so 21-game set. It's home and away, like on a rotating scale. So like say the Mets get first, where one year we're playing the second place Central team at home. The next year we're playing them on the road. The only thing that gives you the advantage is if you win your division, you get the extra home series against your second place team. If you're following that. And then, so you do all those games, American League, both. Everyone plays their 21 games. Top 4 teams move into the playoffs, traditional playoffs, but no wild card series. So you just start at the division round, 5-game series, 7-game series, 7-game series. So it's essentially taking the wild card series. I mean, long story short, I just talked for 5 minutes for nothing, and expanding it over 21 games. But you're making everybody participate in it. And that's the elevator pitch. Questions?
No, there's a lot to dissect there. So I just want to make sure I play it
Yeah,
back.
I think
Correct
in
me.
hindsight, I think we skipped the first part. So the regular season's 144 games.
Yeah, and
And
that'd
then
be
you
the
start
36 you play against your division, and then you get up to 108 once you play everyone in your league, and then you
Mhm.
add the extra 36 games for the interleague play following the All-Star break.
correct. That's how
Okay.
I see it allocated.
And so the total number is what, 144 regular season games?
But this road to the playoffs, because the bottom 16 teams are doing the same thing just for first overall pick, all of those stats would still count towards your regular season stats because all 32 teams are still playing. So the season would get 3 games longer, but the playoffs lose a series. So
Okay.
it's still like the same number of baseball games if you do the math.
By the way, I had to go back and check. I was like, hey, you don't know Pat as well as I do, and Pat will do anything to win. He's a competitor at heart, and the Mets did not play in 2023, so I don't know why the resentment just randomly came out. I was like, Diamondbacks Rangers, we're done. The new system. So Hagan, any first comments or questions for Pat on this?
So on you said like the 16 teams would be like the top ones competing for the playoffs there. With the bottom six, so the best of those bottom 16 teams could get the first pick if they had the worst record there.
Yeah. That's the one I think that could be a flaw. You're like this, you're right at the line, like, did we just tank the last week and then try and run it in the bottom half to get first pick? But
Yes, I think obviously like tanking in baseball is a lot different than like NFL and NBA. You don't get like a quarterback that's just going to step in right away and change a franchise, do all that. But I
yeah.
think you probably would see some teams like if it was or where the Mets were this year, where it was like you just kind of knew the team wasn't that good. You knew if they made the playoffs, they weren't going to do anything. Where it's like, do we just try to just drop a couple games, get into the bottom 16, and then just tank for the number one pick?
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I'm going to just make sure the MLB draft, the top 6 picks are lottery. So it's not like the NBA where I think it's like 15 teams are like if you tank in baseball, it's way more relevant to do than the NBA. And obviously in football, it's just specifically how you finished record wise. So I like this and making the wild card because, in my opinion, I think the wild card has been that like it's obviously called the wild card for a reason, and we've seen a lot of upsets happen in the wild card
Yeah.
where it kind of takes out the whole point of hey we won our division and we still have to play in a wild card series and we don't even get to advance in the first playoff series because we played a quick 3-game series and we had to play Tarek Skubal and Jack Flaherty in games 1 and 2.
Yeah, right. And
So
my biggest, it's a sample size thing, right? You want baseball's a game of sample size. I mean, we look at everything in such massive sample sizes, and then you're making the best teams play like it was 1 game, which was crazy. But now it's 3, but it's still like not really enough. The Rockies can sweep anybody in 3 games potentially at some point, but given 21 games, probably not happening.
So Hagen, what do you think? Who do you think would have the biggest issue with this? The owners, the players, the fans? Because we're getting more baseball, so the fans I think would be happy
And more competitive baseball.
and more competitive baseball.
Like
Trying to
ticket
think of
sales
who
would go through the roof in September.
I think owners would like it too, like you're saying, because you're giving them 3 more games, which is more money for them. And then you're also
Right.
getting more competitive games down the stretch if you're in there. So, I mean, you're pretty much expanding the playoffs for a few weeks longer. So I think the owners would like it. I would assume the players, I mean, I'm just trying to think if there anyone that actually wouldn't like it. Like, just who doesn't like the idea of playing competitive baseball for a longer extended period of time? Because, like you're saying too, like the wild card, I wish the wild card honestly was more games, like where it's like,
Yeah.
you spend 162 games and you play bad for. We saw with the Padres the one year with the Dodgers in 2024. You're up you're winning the series and you have 14 innings. You don't score a run and your season's over. Like I don't like that where it's like just 2 games can just ruin your whole season.
Yeah. And it's go ahead, Brad.
No, I'm just looking at I was trying to recall what year it was. I just found it 2021. So this is the year after the Dodgers, Mickey Mouse World Series, we'll call it, in the famous words of Dean. Uh, the Dodgers won 106 games that year. They didn't even win their division because the Giants won 107, and so the Dodgers won 106 games and had to play a wild card series. Like that's crazy.
Right. And that goes to like some of these divisions are stacked, and I get keeping it that way, right? Because all the East Coast people will be like, well, we deserve more teams, but you want to give everyone the fair shot. But then if you do have two powerhouses like that, a Dodgers Giants, come that 21 game part, everyone's back on equal playing field. And it also teams seem to have adjusted to it now a little bit, but early on when the wild card was first instituted, momentum stopped on a lot of these really good teams, and they would just get steamrolled by Madison Bumgarner coming in hot out of a wild card series. So
Yeah, and I just want to ask a question, make sure I'm understanding. So after we play the 144, the top, and we're assuming there's an expansion. We're assuming we're at 32 teams in Major League
yeah,
Baseball.
just because it's a cleaner way to do it.
And it's going to happen either way, too.
And it's going to happen. Yeah, exactly. We know we're probably getting one, if not. I would assume MLB is going to add 2 teams. Why would they add 1?
Yeah, you got to add 2.
You can add 1 for baseball. Someone's going to buy.
Yeah, that's uneven.
Yeah.
The top 16 teams after 144 games, 8 would be, and now would this be, and we would still be keeping American National League. There's no mixing up. It would be the top 8 teams. Would it be the top 18 teams in the National League, top 8 teams in the American, or just the top 16 overall?
Top 2, and that's a good question. In my mind, it was the top 2 in each division. So regardless of how good your division performed, there's no, it like eliminates the idea of wild card. So it kind of gives everyone equal opportunity, which is a lot of the pushback in my mind would be from like the Pirates of the world who are like, how does this benefit us? Like we could go on a run in theory with a tighter playoff, but they always they'll get a shot if their division doesn't have like a Mets and a Yankees in it, because they just need to get second place, and then they just gotta perform pretty well in a 21 game tournament.
Maybe you said this, and you just said it'd be the top 2 from each division. So if we expand to 32 teams, we're assuming each, the American and National League, split in from 3 divisions to 4 now, and it'll be
both would. Correct. Okay. Same as the NFL. It would look like the NFL.
Full NFL send. All right.
Yeah. You could go 4-8 to be 4-8 would be the same concept, but then it would just be the top 4 in each division. Yeah. Almost like maybe you could do something like what hockey does, where the top 3 are locked in, and then you have 2 flexes. Like those are the wild cards. That could be a vision. But
hey, and any other questions or comments on this system? I feel like we could have a full there's so many opportunities, especially like what would the divisions look like? Like you think like they're going to be geographically aligned. It's like, does that make Boston, the Mets, the Yankees, and like the Phillies, the Northeast? Like, is that the Northeast division now?
I mean, they've already kind of talked about it before. I know some guys from the Athletic have proposed that before, especially because if you did that like geographical locations with that, it just limits the travel for these players even more. So you don't have to be flying. I mean, like if you can look at like how many tens of thousands of miles the Seattle Mariners, I think they had the record last year. I think this is the record for most miles traveled in a single season for a team. And just if you can make it more geographical, even if you're still playing everybody, like you're going to make it where you're flying less travel for these guys, better for their recovery, all that. But I think the geographical would probably be the way they would probably go here. And like you said, it would probably be like, I want it too, because I want to see the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Red Sox in the same division. Like I want to see how toxic that those fan bases would be against each other. I would love to see that.
That it would make it. I think that part would make it really fun, is the toxicity between fan bases. But at the same time, like I just don't want to see like a shitty division form. Like I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, cause like you would assume the Pirates are going to stay in the same division as like Cincinnati. Maybe they add Cleveland instead, and then
the Central divisions are always going to be stinky to look at. It's just kind of the nature of baseball.
You might get the Sox and the Cubs in the same division though, with like the Brewers and like the Twins. Like that would be a new division probably. That's all interesting stuff. I think the next step, Pat, I think once we yeah, I'm gonna let you just because this is like your baby, kind of
Yeah.
tweak it a little bit more. And then we can work with Dean to get a nice graphic out there and put it out there like the predicted this is like the new predicted MLB format. I bet you we can gain traction with it because like honestly, I know there's legality issues and like contract issues and whatever. I think this is a great format, especially for keeping baseball competitive up until the end. And like, if they
Yeah.
really want to get, the baseball's in a renaissance right now. It has so many young stars. It's garnering fans. It's generating record profits. The contracts are absurd because they have the money from these TV deals. But what about if we get the younger crowd who's like NBA, NFL leaning into more competitive stuff in during the football season, like directly competing because September is when college football is happening, and same with NFL at this point.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's what I remember when I was young. Like September baseball used to be the best, but now it feels like because there's so many playoff spots, nobody's pushing in the way you have to. So I feel like it's just kind of fallen off unless you're in the thick of it, and the teams in the thick of it aren't as good as they used to be. So it's not as exciting. Like it's the 12th best team that's trying to drive, not the eighth best team.
yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I was not for the expansion of the MLB playoff initially. Like I liked the three divisions and one wild card because that it just became that much more exclusive to make the playoffs. And rules of economics, you can never inflate the value of something by producing more of it. Like that's just simple
Yeah.
economics. So I don't know. I'm for this. Hagen, any other last questions, comments, thoughts before we let Pat go?
I don't really have any more questions on it. I mean, I do like the premise of the idea of like getting more valuable baseball, and especially down the stretch, like what Brett's saying, like there's football going on. Like I have buddies that like, yeah, they'll watch baseball. The second football's on, they don't give a shit about baseball anymore. They don't care about that until the playoffs really start. So I do like the idea of like getting more competitive baseball for. I mean, you're getting it from probably like 6 week standpoint if you include all the way to the World Series. You'd have competitive baseball. I think there's I don't know, the format itself I just think is a little complicated.
Yeah.
Right now, just
I
what were you saying, Pat?
I no, I think I regret even doing my spiel on the beginning. I think we just got to ditch the 144 games at the beginning. Like you can do that however you want, but I think there should be like a road to the playoffs that because you
And
can
then should like
monopolize. Like
finals
what
of
other
21 teams.
franchises just run in like basically a regular season playoff like that?
No, truth be told, I kind of like the hold on hey, we're playing our division right away. Like teams we know, teams that like we're all familiar with coming out of the gate rather than like you're absolutely right. I don't why is Houston opening up with the New York Mets opening day? It should be like Seattle, Houston. It should be like
Yeah.
Mets, Phillies or Mets, Braves opening day. Like that just it's right. They know each other instead of like now we're making this team from Houston. I don't know where the game was played. I'm just gonna assume New York, but like we're making this team from like deep South Texas come up here for their opening weekend, and now like it's kind of just like a disadvantage. Like rather just do it geographically, and I don't know.
And
I prefer it that way actually.
for the record, too, I didn't mean like every single division game you have is your first 36-2 game. They're like obviously scheduling's a thing. You know, you got to schedule around whatever else is going on at your stadium. So those would be sprinkled within the first 108 games, but you should be playing your league until
I mean,
the
it
time
fixed the
comes.
issue too. I just pulled it up right here with the Mets. Like the Mets open against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Like that's just kind of weird to me. They don't play a team in their division until the Washington Nationals, the 11th series of the year. I mean, I just think that's weird. Like I think you should be playing your division when you open up the season. I think you should be playing your division when you're kind of ending the season. Let's see it throughout the year, not just like I just hate when you're playing your division, especially nowadays where it's like you can play your division and it's June and you've already played you've played the Phillies already for the entire year. Where it's like well, I want to play my division like the important games down the stretch. I want to see the beginning of the year to just see how they all line up. I feel like division should be like very play them all throughout the year, not just you shouldn't have to
Yeah.
wait till the first week of May to play a team in your division.
Yeah, I'm right now looking. The Yankees. It looks like if this is correct, I think the Yankees open up at San Francisco this year.
Correct, they do.
That's crazy to open up all the way in the Bay Area. Why? I I hate that. Well,
See, it's just like weird too, because then it's like you'll play the Giants there, and then you don't play them again the rest of the season. Like it just
yeah. Well, I will Hagen, I'll formally invite you. Pat's part of the boys baseball trip. One of actually I'd probably call him our ringleader about the baseball trip because he runs the Excel format sheet that we all like update like where we've been, where we want to go next. We'll announce it. We're going to Colorado this year. We're going to go see the Rockies play. I think it's the Reds actually. So we're going to go see Eugenio Suarez.
Rockies Reds.
Yeah, hopefully in a tank. But you're more than welcome to meet us in Denver. Obviously, we will have. I think Dean will be with us, maybe a couple of other of our buddies. But anyone going to be at Rockies Reds in July, come meet us at the stadium. But outside of that, thank you, Pat, for joining us. You got anything else to say? Or are you all good on your end?
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean,
All right, perfect. Well,
road to the playoffs, right until I die.
Actually, I'll leave you with this. I'll give you one opinion question here. Who is your favorite offseason acquisition by the New York Mets, and who is your least favorite person to let go of the Mets?
There's only one answer for let go. It's Edwin Diaz. The rest of the guys were just losers, for lack of a better term. It was just an underperforming core. I have a history of hating Pete Alonso. You know this.
I do know this.
Which is pretty uncommon for Mets fans. I never bought his shtick. He's glorified Adam Dunn a little bit, So I don't hate to see him go. And then my favorite move that the Mets did, honestly, it sounds silly, but probably trading Luis Allen Acuna and like shoring up center field. For better or for worse, it's a boom bust kind of throw at the wall. We were going to have Tyrone Taylor out there anyway. So like get a defensive center fielder who might be able to hit 25 home runs. Why not?
How mad was Jimmy Burns when I'm sure you talked shit to him about his White Sox moving off Luis Robert Jr.
I know. He was scared that like if you can hide him in the Mets lineup, he'll actually be good at baseball again. Because he was just a sitting duck in the middle of the White Sox lineup.
Yeah.
But we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening. That's the end of the episode. Be sure to go check out our merch and blogs, subscribe. And if you like us, give us a 5-star rating. It always helps. Thanks again, guys. Bye.